Welcome back, squad. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Full Ride, the college recruiting podcast. This is your recruiting coach and host, Kito Delgado, and I am so thrilled you've tuned in yet again. I guess I should add to my title. I'm also, I'm a speaker, so I do some motivational talks every once in a while. I conduct workshops for athletic departments and teams. So I am, I guess you can say I'm a consultant, if you will, because I do work with schools and kind of help them create, a positive athletic atmosphere, and I kind of help them create an environment of, that hopefully leads to student athletes thriving. So there are a few different titles that I wear, but ultimately, I really love being a resource to our families of student athletes hoping to play in college. And one way I'm a resource is I record a new episode of Full Ride each and every Thursday. And the numbers are in. The numbers are in from last month, the month of October. And once again, for now, I think the fourth straight month, we had more downloads than we'd had the previous month. So over the last 4 months, our downloads continue to increase month over month. And I'm not talking, about like a handful of downloads. I'm talking like a few hundred. And we are rapidly approaching, which I'll be honest, when you compare us to, some of the, the big podcasts out there, these aren't the biggest numbers, but we are rapidly approaching 1,000 downloads per month. And that's really, something that I'm proud of, because that means I'm doing my part to help educate our families. And I've gotten some really encouraging, direct messages, emails from families, just telling me to keep it up, because I am really making a big impact. So that's really humbling. So if this is your first time checking out Full Ride, the college recruiting podcast, I welcome you to our squad. I hope it's not your last time, and I invite you to subscribe to our show. That way you never miss an episode. We do release a new episode each and every Thursday. And as always, I do want to remind you that you can find today's show notes, as always, on our website, and that's urecruitu.com. That's the letter U, and then recruit, so URECRUIT, and then the letter U.com. Because ultimately, it is up to you to become a recruited student athlete. You have to put in the work. You have to take control of the process. You have to take care of your grades if you're a student athlete. And mom and dad, it's up to you to educate yourselves on the process, so that therefore you can be of support to your son or daughter. And over the last, let me think now, 4 weeks, I have talked about the different, I've been debunking the common college recruiting myths, right? So I've done 2 myths a week for the last 4 weeks. So all you math majors out there, that means we've done 8. And I really want to wrap up this series today. I want to get to at least 10 and overall. And I'm not going to spend too much time on any particular myth today. We'll kind of do a little bit of rapid fire, because I'll be honest, I could probably, if I really sat down, based on the hundreds of discussions I've had with parents in the past and with student athletes, I can easily probably get up to about 30 different myths. But I don't want to, go down that rabbit hole, and I also want to move on and start talking about some other, elements of college recruiting. So in the interest of time today, I do want to try to, give you a couple, kind of like bonus ones, if you will, but then definitely wrap up with my 2 major themes today. So one quick myth, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it though, is A lot of families, particularly our student athletes, fall into this trap. I almost fell into this trap when I was a senior in high school. Um, I got an offer. I accepted my offer. I verbally committed. And then I'm not going to go into all the details, but I just made some foolish mistakes that definitely could have costed me my scholarship. But, I lucked out. Things worked out. And then I signed my national letter of intent that February, and I was good to go. So the myth I was going to say is verbal commitments are not binding. Right? A lot of families, a lot of student athletes, you tweet out that you're committed to a school, and you give your verbal, and you think that's it. You think you're good to go. Well, I can just tell you, until you sign on the dotted line, until you sign your national letter of intent, your verbal commitment is not binding. And even if you tell a coach you want to go, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to honor that. You know what I'm saying? So let's say you make a mistake. Let's say you tweet something out. Let's say somebody else comes along that they like more than you, and it's between honoring the offer they gave to you, or giving it to that new recruit. Guess what? They can certainly go another way. So verbal commitments, honestly, it's kind of like a handshake. So ideally, you would like that handshake to actually mean something, but unfortunately, we live in a society where you have to put pen to paper to kind of make things legit. It is kind of a sad reality. There was a time where your handshake, your word meant something, but it's true. With verbal commitments, they don't mean anything until you sign down line, and it works both ways too. Those coaches, they can pull them. As an example, you see this all the time as well. Let's say you're getting recruited by a coach, they offer you a scholarship, and now all of a sudden they get offered a new job at a new school. So now they leave, a new coach comes in, and you say, well, I had an offer. They're like, yeah, I got my own players coming in. So just kind of want to throw that out there. Families, that verbal commitments are not binding. In the recruiting process really is not over. It's not official until you sign on the dotted line. A simple tweet does not make it official, so don't fall for that myth. Another big one that I think more and more people are starting to realize this to be true, but there are still some people that really seem to think that Division I is the only game in town, right? It's kind of like you have this D1 or bust mentality, and it's a dangerous mentality to have. Just being really brutally honest, there's a good chance your student athlete is not a Division I talent. So if you're only putting your thoughts and your efforts and your expectations into thinking you're going to get a Division I opportunity, well, then you're going to be in for a rude awakening. But more importantly than that, let's just say you realize that maybe you do have an open mind. There are some families out there who just think that, oh, I can only get a scholarship if I go Division I. That's false. So this whole narrative that it's D1 is the only game in town, that's a big myth. You still have Division II opportunities, right? You have Division III opportunities. You have the NAIA as an option. You have 2-year colleges as an option. Your JUCOs, and honestly, I'll even throw in there you have prep schools as an option, right? So there are a lot of ways in which you gotta look at your goal, right? I know for some of you, yes, you have a goal of playing big time college basketball or football or some type of college athletics, whatever your sport is, and maybe you have dreams of playing in the pros, and that's great. I want to encourage you to go for it, right? Shoot for the stars. With that said, I do believe in the majority of families that I work with. They have goals of, hey, we just want to have an opportunity to play in college, and most importantly, receive a great education, and have a great and enjoyable college experience, and that's what you're looking for. And I just want you to know that that is absolutely possible, and you don't have to do it at the Division I level. You can go Division II, you can go to Division III, and this goes back to what I was saying before. The better your grades are, the more open mind you have, the more options you ultimately have to marry, all of your goals together. So I just don't want you to think that, well, my son or daughter, they're not a Division I talent, so therefore they can't play in sports in college. That's a big myth. They can play sports in college, and if you target the right schools, if you have the right grades, from a fit standpoint, you can absolutely play in college and possibly earn some level of athletic aid or athletic scholarship and financial aid or merit-based scholarship. So don't fall for that myth that Division I, the NCAA Division I is the only game in town. Do your homework, cast a wide net, have an open mind, be realistic, and you can certainly have opportunities to play in college. I got two more for you. We've heard this one often. The first part is, the first myth is, a lot of people seem to think that college recruiting starts your senior year. That's a huge myth, right? College recruiting starts my senior year. A lot of families, they wait till last minute to get their ducks in a row to really start, going after it, if you will. And by then, I'm not saying it's too late, but you definitely put yourself in a bad situation. So a lot of families, definitely fall into that myth. But I always tell families, listen, I don't think it starts freshman year either. What I mean by this is, I don't think you should be calling coaches. I don't think you should really be worried about getting on the radar of coaches your freshman year, even your sophomore year, because by the time you hit your senior year, you're going to be burned out. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit. For me, freshman year is all about the foundation, right? You want to go into it, have a conversation with your student athlete, say, hey, do you think you want to play sports in college? Great. Start to budget, get the foundation, understand your core classes, what that's all about. Just familiarize yourself with different college recruiting terms. That's what your freshman year is all about. Sophomore year, again, it's all about building on that foundation with your grades. Maybe start to identify some schools that you may want to learn more about. Go to camps, showcases, that type of stuff to kind of get your name out there a little bit. But that's more, I think sophomore year is more about research. Go visit schools, as a family, just to kind of get a feel. I always say touch the dream, if you will. You want to know what you're going after, so go to a college campus, walk it, go to a college game, experience that atmosphere, even if it's just you guys as a family. Don't even involve the schools, but just to kind of be in that environment so you know what it is you're pursuing. So that's, for my dollar, my belief, that's what you should be doing your sophomore year. Now, going into your junior year, so the summer, right? The summer going into your junior year, hopefully you're a varsity athlete. You're getting bigger, you're getting stronger, faster. That's when you really want to start, in my opinion, start to proactively reach out to college coaches. I'm entering my junior year. You go online, you fill out their questionnaires, you register for the eligibility center, right? You take the SAT, the ACT, but most importantly, you definitely are proactively reaching out to college coaches. So you do all that through your junior year. So then hopefully by the time you go into your senior year, you've built up so much momentum. You've handled your business in the classroom. You've worked out. You've gotten better. You've identified your schools. You've researched them. You started to reach out to college coaches. You've taken your SAT. And now it's time to narrow down your schools to 5 to 10 schools and make a decision and then sign the dotted line. Like, that's in the ideal world how you want it to work. So I tell families all the time, college recruiting does not begin your freshman year from a standpoint of reaching out to schools, but you definitely want to start create that foundation. And at the same time, though, I do think for many of you, you do yourself a huge disservice if you wait until your senior year of high school to really get serious about this process. You got to get serious about the process. You got to make that decision as a family, mainly as a student athlete. The student athlete has to decide if they want to play well before their senior year. Not saying it can't happen, but a lot of times if you wait till your senior year to get focused, mistakes end up happening. You make a rush decision, and then you can ultimately have some regret there. So college recruiting does not begin your senior year. But I'm going to add to that. Are you ready for it? it also does not end at the end of your senior year. I'm going to say that one more time, nice and slow. College recruiting does not begin your senior year, but it also does not end at the end of your senior year. And what I mean by this is many of you may be a late bloomer. You may be a late bloomer, right? You may have just decided going into your senior year, you just discovered a new sport, you tried out for the very first time, and all of a sudden, like, wow, I'm pretty good at this sport. I want to keep playing it. Or you had a growth spurt, right? So as a junior, you were 5'10", and you were okay, with basketball, but now you grew, 5 inches. Now you're 6'3", you're 6'4", and you decided you want to go out and play football, and now all of a sudden you are an average 5'10" basketball player, but you are a really good 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver. Things can change like that. And what I'm saying is, if this happens, right, so now you're a late bloomer, you decide to play late, or maybe you get hurt your senior year, maybe you unfortunately, you didn't handle your business in the classroom, and now you're not eligible, so no schools are recruiting you. Whatever the circumstances are, I just have come across way too many families who think, oh, we didn't get recruited, it's our senior year, and now all of a sudden the student athlete is just giving up on their dreams. I'm just going to go to college and be a regular student. And what I'm saying to you is, if you really want it, if that's your goal, it's not over until you say it's over, right? Too many of you are just throwing in the towel. Like, oh, we're not getting any offers. The offers aren't that good. I don't want to go. I didn't love the sport that much anyway. No, that's just you just talking yourself out of disappointment. That's what you say because you have, things didn't go your way, and now you're just saying, I don't really want to play. If you truly want to play, it's not over until you say it's over. So what are some things you can do? Well, you can still go to school, and you can walk on. Now, I'm not a huge advocate of walking on, but ultimately, that is definitely an option. You didn't get recruited. So what? Now what are you going to do? You just going to quit? Or are you going to say, you know what? I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to prove myself. I kid you not, I'm from Albany, New York. Google the box score if you want. But I'm from Albany, New York. We have two, if you will, Division I programs for basketball. We have SUNY Albany, and we have Siena. And we have a young man. He's a freshman at Siena. His name is Jordan King, right? And I remember reading an article on him a few months back, how the recruiting did not go his way. We'll just leave it at that. He didn't have the offers that he had hoped for. And then Siena, they just hired a brand new head coach. So the coach is his first year. He reached out to Jordan and said, listen, we don't have any scholarship offers right now, but we're inviting you to walk on to the team. If you play well, we'll be able to give you a scholarship years 2, 3, and 4. So I go to the game, and I remember reading that article, kid you not, about 3 months ago. I go to the game last night. I'm watching the game, and they introduced the starting lineup. And guess who's starting? Jordan King, freshman. He scored 8 points. He's a walk-on. Don't tell me college recruiting ends at the end of your senior year. Had no offers, and now he's starting for a Division I program in the MAC. So now you may not want to walk on, right? That's fine. How about you go to a prep school? Say, you know what? We're going to bite the bullet. Let's go to a prep school, work on our game a little bit more. Hey, let's go JUCO. Get bigger, stronger, faster. So my point is this: stay in the game. Stay in the game as long as you possibly can. If you love the sport, if you're passionate about it, go for it. Don't quit. Don't just throw in the towel. So what? It did not work out the way you wanted. It didn't go perfectly as planned. You don't change the plan. You don't change your goal. You just change the plan, right? Don't quit. Too many of you guys are just quitting. I hear it all the time, and then what ends up happening is you go to college, and maybe you play club or intramurals, and all you're doing is just like, it's kind of like, this is fun, but it's still not the same. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not with the team. Like, it's just a different vibe. And then all you end up having is regret. I'd rather you give it your all. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least you gave yourself the best shot possible. You exhausted all options, and then you have no regrets. But too many of you are quitting way too soon. So no, college recruiting does not begin your senior year of high school, but it also does not end at the end of your senior year. Keep pounding, keep going for it, right? That's kind of my sermon. I'm getting a little bit fired up because I just know what athletics can do for our student athletes. Like many of their it's going to help you be a better college student. Having to manage your time better, being part of a team, having a team that's going to hold you accountable, a coach that's going to hold you accountable, having those resources available to you. Then you graduate, you go on you start applying for jobs. Your employer's not going to ask if you were a walk-on. They're not going to ask if you were a full-ride student athlete. They're not going to ask if it was D1, D2, D3. They're not going to ask any of that. They're going to say, wow, you played college athletics. Tell me about that experience. So that's why I'm so big on, I want you to get there. Just go all out and don't quit after your senior year if it didn't work out. All right, so that's the big myth I want to just end. College recruiting does not end at the end of your senior year. Extend that thing out. Go to JUCO. Walk on. Change sports. Do what you got to do. Find a way. Don't change the plan. Don't change the goal. Change the plan. Lastly, you got me fired up in here. Anyway, I'm really passionate about this, people. I'm telling you, I'm really passionate about it. So, lastly, this is the last myth I'm going to leave you with in this series. College recruiting is glamorous. It's not glamorous whatsoever. And I know it's so, because we live in this social media age, we live in this sports center age where, we live in an age where high school sports are, particularly football and basketball, they're played on ESPN. You have the All-American games, on ESPN, and kids are putting their hats on during the game and telling them where they're going to go. You have, high school kids with blue check marks on Twitter, and they got, LeBron James' son. He has 1 million followers. Zion Williamson, he was going through it, in fields for football. He's on Ohio State. Like, we have documentary series on these kids, QB1 for all you football people on Netflix. My point is, we live in this culture where, from the outside looking in, it seems like college recruiting is this really fun, glamorous, process. And that is the case for a very select few people. Deion Sanders, his son, I watch his, I follow his son. I follow Deion Sanders, and he's always tagging his son. But his son, I think his name is Sador. And every time he goes to visit a school, it's like he has a camera crew following him, and he's documenting all of it. Or he'll go to a camp, and he has all these different highlights from these camps. And yeah, guess what? Deion Sanders' dad, first of all, his son is a 4 or 5-star recruit. But then his dad, Silo's dad, Deion Sanders, is a Hall of Fame NFL football player who has unlimited resources to be able to pay for a camera crew to document all this stuff for his son and daughter. Matter of fact, it's probably for free because they always tag the person doing the camera for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go off on a tangent, but my point is, that is not the reality for the majority of you. You're not going to have camera crews following you. You're not going to have people who care where you go to school outside of your immediate family and friends. You go on Twitter and all these guys they do a tweet, and then all the fans of these schools are retweeting them and sending them direct messages and saying, hey, come to our school. Most people don't care where you go to school, right? Here's the thing. You're not going to have 50 offers, right? You're not going to have a bunch of articles written about you. You're not going to have the TV crews show up to find out, where you're going to go. You're not playing in these nationally televised games. You're not playing in, all-American games, right? You're not going on, these recruiting visits, at these, that have these amazing locker rooms and facilities. Some schools do, but the majority of you who are going D2, D3, 1AA, NIIA, you're going JUCO, those facilities aren't like that, right? You don't have a ton of cheerleaders, a bus full of cheerleaders waiting for you as you arrive on campus. It's just not that way. So I just want to really just reset your mind, your mindset, if you will, and I want you to really just pause. Just pause. And as you either begin the recruiting process or as you continue to navigate through it, just have a reality check. College recruiting really is stressful. It's time-consuming. It's overwhelming. It's frustrating. It's confusing, right? And it's full of the highest of highs, like the highest of high of the coach offering you a scholarship, the coach inviting you on an official visit, the coach, showing up to watch you play, the coach showing up to your school and taking you out of class and checking in on you. The highs of a coach just calling you to congratulate you on a big win. Like, those are all the highs. Those are all the thrills. Another one is you get back your SAT score and you knocked it out the park. That's a high, right? Or you get back you get your report card and you got an A in a core class. That's a high. But there are a lot of lows too. You get hurt. You have a season-ending injury. The coach who had been calling you for 3 straight months, tracking your progress, all of a sudden just ghosts you. Or that same coach leaves for another job. The new coach comes in. They want no part of you. You don't fit their structure. You go to a showcase. That's a complete waste of your time. You go to a camp. That's a complete waste of your time and money. You receive bad advice from another parent. Your coach, your high school coach who you thought was going to do all this work for you and help you says, I don't have the time. I don't have the knowledge. I don't know what you want me to do, but now your expectations aren't in alignment with theirs. You don't get a good grade on your SATs, a good score on your SATs. You are struggling academically. The schools who you think you can play at have no interest in you. It's full of highs and lows. And you have to just understand that, and you have to stay the course. And you have to always, this is what I told a young man the other day. I told him, I said, and he's only a freshman, so he didn't know yet. But I'm leaving you guys with this. Student athletes, and mom and dad, maybe you can help them with this. Figure out why it is you want to play in college. What is your why? Why do you want to go to college, and why do you want to play sports in college? The quicker you can figure out your why, the quicker you attach meaning to it, the harder it's going to be for you to quit and give up and lose sight of your goals. The reason why it's easy for you to quit at the college recruiting, the reason why it's easy for you to say, this is too much work. Oh, I don't feel like reaching out to these coaches. Oh, you know what? College isn't for me. I'm just going to play intramurals. The reason why it's easy for you to quit on yourself, it's easy for you to give up, is because you don't have a why attached to your goal. So figure that out. Why is it that you want to play in college? Why do you want to go to college? What is it about college? Why do you want to be there? And number 2, why do you want to play sports once you get to college? And I'm telling you, once you have a clear understanding of your why, you'll be able to navigate the college recruiting process. Not saying it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for many of you, for the majority of you. I say the majority of you because there are some of you out there who have the grades and you have immense talent and you have your pick. God bless you. Don't blow it. Real talk. I'm happy for you. You're 6'8". You're a 6'8" freshman basketball player. Guess what? My advice to you, don't blow it, dude. You're 6'8" and you're a freshman in high school. guess what? You're probably going to end up being 6'10", 6'11". You're gonna get some few schools just because of your height, right? Like, that's just the reality for some students, and we should be happy for them. Let's not hate. Let's not throw shade. Don't be jealous. But that's just their reality. For the majority of your reality is you're gonna have to grind. You're gonna have to claw. You're gonna have to kick, scratch. You're gonna have to do a lot of praying. You're gonna be stressed out. But the best way you can combat that, in addition to knowing your why, is to just really have a game plan, have a strategy, educate yourself, and then have a playbook, have a blueprint. And I want to end off this show with that. So, a big part of what we do, what I do through You Recruit You, is I offer coaching, right? My coaching program is called Study Hall. And you may be wondering, why do you call your coaching program Study Hall? I'll tell you a quick story. So when I first went to college, Study Hall was required. It was mandatory. So if you were a freshman, you had to, in addition to going to your normal classes, working out, going to practices, watching film, like 3 days a week, we had to go to Study Hall. It's usually like in a resource room, resource center with other athletes. It was quiet, and you had to do your homework. You had to study for your tests. You had to work on your term papers, whatever it is. But we had to get about, I think, 6 hours worth of Study Hall in every single week, during my freshman year of high school. And then we even had some sophomores, because the only way you could get out of Study Hall was if you were upperclassmen, and you also had to have a GPA higher than like a 2.5 in order to leave Study Hall. So if you were a junior and you were struggling, you were in Study Hall, right? So the reason why I named my coaching program Study Hall is very simple. I want to provide you, as you are beginning the college recruiting process, I want to help you transition, and I want to help you build a solid foundation. Because that's what they were doing for me when I went to college, right? It was my first time away from home. It was my first time experiencing college coursework. It was my first time playing big-time competition, right? So there was a lot to adjust. The one thing they did not want to slip was my grades. So they want to help me with develop a good foundation, good habits. So I went to Study Hall to learn that, right, and to develop that. Well, college recruiting is very similar. As you enter it, I want you to have a good foundation. I want you to get off to a good start. But I'm not only teaching you, giving you the foundation, but then once you learn the process and you get the right mindset, then we actually start talking strategy and execution. I tell families all the time, college recruiting is different for every single family. No recruiting process is the same. Is the same. So you want to have somebody, hopefully myself, but even if it's not me, somebody out there who has done what you've already done, right? They've gone through the process already. They've done it successfully, and now they're going to help you navigate that process. And then I can work with you your freshman, your sophomore year. Once you get a grasp of it, once you have some offers coming in, you got the momentum, just like I did in college. I eventually stopped. I no longer needed Study Hall. I could stop. That's the same thing with you with Study Hall. You could work with me for 3 months, 6 months, a year and a half, and once you get what you need, you can stop, right? So I really encourage you, there's a link, in the show notes. I encourage you to check it out. It's called Study Hall, and really see if I can be of help to you. And again, as always, I thank you for tuning in, and I want to remind you that college recruiting starts with you. What steps are you taking today to earn an athletic scholarship tomorrow?